Okay, we're live. Good evening, everybody. This is Soul of a Fighter. Got True Temper Rocket and Cyrus Stark. Tonight we're a duo. This is episode 11 of Soul of a Fighter, podcast by fighters, about fighters, and for fighters. This is, in episode 11, we're going to discuss, we're going to have a recap of UFC 217, GSP's return, and possibly the greatest, if not the greatest, UFC fight card ever. I mean, it was a special evening with just like every fight was amazing. There wasn't a single disappointing fight. And I mean, pretty much every single bout was ended in a stoppage. It was extremely, high level MMA and the return of one of the all-time greats, if not the all-time great. So I hope you guys enjoy it. True Temper and I are going to break down the fights and discuss what we thought and like the latest news around each and every fighter, like what the future holds for the three new champions. So basically, like this was an amazing card. I mean, just because like three title fights, every single one. Just talking about the three title fights at the top of the bill, the top of the pay-per-view. None of them disappointed. Every one of them were just like shocking, and all three champions lost their belts. I mean, difficult to know where to start. Like even the prelims were amazing. Like, I mean, I guess the most stunning one been Joanna losing her title, and the way it's not just that she lost it because that Rose beat her, because I knew that she had it in her to beat her. That's why I didn't pick anybody in that fight. Is the way she lost it, because she just got blasted. She basically never had a chance. Stunning part of this was she really.
Yeah,
it was.
It seemed to me, Cyrus, that she wasn't prepared to fight Rose. She might have been prepared, but she wasn't prepared to fight Rose.
You're absolutely right.
She wasn't prepared to fight what Rose was throwing at her. That's for sure. I was a little disappointed. In fact, I was a lot disappointed.
No, you're right. It was strange, wasn't it? It really felt like maybe like she never was in the fight.
Yeah.
Like she got dropped really early by Rose. She got back up, as she does. She's really good at that, but she just still got dropped. And then a minute or two later, she was out cold. And, it was shocking. I don't know. It was almost more shocking than Ronda, because Ronda did everything wrong for a round and a half. And then
that's a good comparison. It's pretty similar what happened, actually.
Yeah, it was extremely, except for the way it happens. Like Ronda took her a long time to, Ronda got beat up for a round and a half and then went down. Shocking. It's very similar in the sense that they were both beaten badly, but I think Joanna's was even more shocking in the sense she was never even in the fight, if you see what I mean. Like she never even got started.
No, she wasn't domineering at all, not a bit.
No, she got beat up. She got handed, she got handled, and quickly. It was.
Well, when was the last time you saw Joanna fight like that? I haven't ever seen Joanna fight like she didn't know what the hell she was doing. And I don't think.
No, I've never seen her like that.
And I don't think that you can attribute it entirely to Rose. Not taking nothing from Rose, Rose was ready to fight. There's no doubt about that. But I think Joanna was not ready to fight Rose. I think it kind of looked like Joanna thought she was fighting somebody else entirely.
Yeah, it did.
Uh,
it did actually. She looked actually surprised, but then again, like,
yeah,
absolutely right. She looked surprised, or she underestimated her.
yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
think
don't
she
know.
did underestimate her.
No, it
And
was
Rose seemed like she was really confident. Rose was confident about what she was doing. Every step she took was for a reason.
yeah. Oh yeah,
She
yeah. She
looked
was
good.
focused.
She looked good.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There's no question about that. She was locked in, focused. But then the whole ever since they announced the fight, like they made it official, it was she was razor sharp. Her focus was razor sharp, and I mean she's always been really intense and focused. But ever since she started training with Valentina Shevchenko, the only one woman to beat Joanna, she's been even more focused. Like she's gotten better. She's gotten like one thing about Rose, she was always focused and how can I say this? Like you know, intense and but like her skill
Well,
got even better. Like one thing,
it would seem that Valentina uh, had the abilities to get to Rose, to make Rose understand something and to accept something, to accept technique or whatever it is that Rose is doing better, and it worked. It works for Rose.
and the fact that like from the very beginning, like they obviously don't really like each other. They don't care for each other. But Joanna was like, I, I don't think she ever crossed the line. There was nothing horrible she said. I mean, there was a couple things she said that were a bit below the belt
Well,
that were kind of tasteless.
taken out of context, some of the stuff that was said could sound wrong. Yeah, but I'm not going to give any of that pre-talk trash any kind of credence because Joanna, she talks some trash, but uh, uh, it wasn't Conor McGregor trash.
No, 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 no. That's
Or
what I'm saying. What I'm
uh,
saying though is she did talk a lot of trash, and Rose didn't say anything. Like I don't know if you saw at the weigh-ins. Joanna was basically yelling at Rose, like in Rose's face, yelling like the boogeyman woman's gonna come after you. I'm gonna kill you, you know, whatever. And Rose was just standing there, like dead-eyed, deadpanned, just basically quietly recited the Lord's Prayer.
well,
Like that tells you something, you know.
to me, a person that exhibits that kind of behavior like Joanna exhibited, that tells me that they're afraid.
Yeah, what that's why so many people compared this to Ronda versus Holly, because like in both those cases, the champion, the long time champion, this is not just any champion, this is a long time champion, undisputed
Got
champion,
waxed.
but also behaved more like a challenger than the challenger, if you see what I mean.
Yes, I do see what you mean, Cyrus.
Yeah. Like Ronda, remember UFC 193? Ronda got into Holly's face and when Holly pushed her away, but both cases the champions, the longtime champions were very animated and like aggressive, and in both cases the challengers were just so calm. It was just like almost creepy. So it's quite interesting, like that's what I took away from it. But it was the performance itself was just stunning. Like we just said, Joanna never got started. She got like iced. Yeah, that's what happened. She got iced. She got dealt with, and she, like they believe it or not. Like some people are saying that there's a bit of a debate going on, like whether she tapped the strikes. I don't really care.
That doesn't matter to me at all. The fact is, the referee called an end to it, and that's the end of it. It doesn't matter if anybody tapped or not.
Okay, so
the official, the official is there for a damn reason.
Exactly, and I think like I completely have no time for the people who are calling, who are making fun of her, who are mocking her, saying like, oh, she tapped the strikes, whatever. Like, you don't have to like Joanna. I know there's some people who don't like Joanna or thought she's a poor sport because of her trash talking or whatever, or just don't like her. It's your right not to like her, but don't mock her because she tapped or didn't tap, if you see what I mean. Because
her post-fight interview, she was very gracious. She said she was disappointed, which is, I imagine that was the truth. And she said that no, I didn't have, and she wasn't asked this, but she offered it as information that she was not preoccupied or unable to train properly. She said that she trained properly. She had the time to prepare, but she just wasn't ready. Or she didn't deliver. And then after she made that explanation, she congratulated Rose several times to make sure
she handled
that
her defeat like the champion she is.
Yeah, well, and I admire that, because in the first place, she lost. Everybody knows she lost. She knows she lost. Okay, she admitted it. She lost. It wasn't stolen from her. It wasn't taken from her. She lost. And then she congratulated her opponent. And she was gracious about it. And then she cried a little bit, which I can understand because I know what it is, what it's like to lose. So I personally can understand how she felt, as well as many other people can understand that too. So I'm not going to take anything away from Joanna after the fight. She fessed up to it. She got her ass whipped, and she fessed up to it. But I'm still in shock how she showed up in that octagon so unprepared. I'm just in shock.
I mean, like, one thing about American Top Team, they prepare you. I don't know, maybe she underestimated her, but like, one thing about American Top Team, these guys are some of the best in business, and especially her team in particular. These guys, they don't do unprepared. I think she wasn't like mentally.
Yeah, I was about to say, Cyrus, it's between her ears. Something was wrong with her head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for her to be that aggressive, and I think maybe she, like great trash talkers and people who play head games. That's something that was very interesting. Is some people are really good at playing with your head or at getting into your head, but sometimes, when it doesn't work, it works against them sometimes. Like
sometimes they start believing that shit.
Yeah, sometimes they believe their own shit. But sometimes when you stay calm, when the person they're trying to mess with just lets it happen, just doesn't care, that turns back on them and it messes with their heads. Maybe that's what happened with Joanna, because a lot of the people, like, I wasn't there live, but like there's people who, like, people in the media, like Luke Thomas. He's one of the people I listen to the most because he speaks common sense. And he was saying one thing he noticed the whole week: the more she tried, her Rose got, and the calmer Rose was. Like, every time she like go Joanna, like he watched them the whole week. They were there during the whole, the whole fight week, if you will. And he said he noticed Joanna getting more and more frustrated. Like, she was really trying to get under her skin and into her head, and it wasn't working. And she was trying harder and harder. And the more she was trying, the angrier she was getting. So it obviously, obviously affected her. Like, the fact that she couldn't get into her head.
But what you're describing, Cyrus, is something that a coach should have observed, and then taken Joanna aside and say, "Look, something's wrong here, and I want you to help me to figure it out." That should have happened, and I don't think that happened.
Yeah, because I mean, coaches aren't exactly psychologists, but the top ones are the top. I mean, look at Phil Jackson. The guy could, the guy's got a major in psychology.
Well,
he's big on that. But like, not all coaches are good at that. But I guess that's a mistake on her coaching team's part. And I mean, it's a mistake on her part. She should have calmed down. As soon as you enter the cage, you're supposed to just
maybe she thought that Rose was going to fold because of her talk. Well, that didn't happen.
Big mistake if she thought that, because Rose.
Well, if it is, then Joanna really wasn't prepared. If that's the case,
obviously not. Yeah, it's interesting. To be a fly.
And this is gonna cost her not only psychologically, but it's going to cost her money too, one way or another.
Yeah, of course it did, because the UFC are so full of crap. They use that belt to basically screw you over. So yeah, I feel for. I mean, and I really hope that Dana was just, but he's already said it plenty of times. He doesn't know what's going to happen when if it was McLeprechaun or anybody else, well, like Ronda, he would have guaranteed her a title shot. And I'm sorry, defended her title with distinction.
Well, all times. It really takes is for Rose and Joanna to agree with each other that they want a rematch, and there won't be anything Dana can do about it.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever.
And I think Rose will give her a rematch. I think Rose wants some more of it.
Yeah.
I think this thing will sell like hotcakes, Cyrus.
A star was born. Rose has always had a following. People always liked her. I've been a fan since day one, even since her days in Invicta. And she was still growing there. But now I think the UFC, if they don't fuck this up, which they usually do, they've actually got a star on their hands. They've got a legitimate star on their hands.
Well, they got a star on their hands, but they also got a scorned, pissed off ex-champion on their hands that wants her belt back.
Yeah.
That is hot, man. That is, I want to see that. I really want to see. I want to see that more than I want to see Nate Diaz kick the shit out of McLeprechaun.
Wow, look at that! You're a fan, man. That's cool. I love it, man.
Let's face it.
I want to see it too.
If Rose and Joanna fight again, somebody's going to get carried out of that damn octagon.
Yeah, and my money's on the fact that I'm still not going to bet on anyone, because I don't think anybody's a favorite. I think it's going to be a fight for the ages, because Joanna's definitely going to be focused, and Rose is, and no one's going to want to lose, so no one's going to back down. It could be a 5 rounds. They'll 5-round classic.
They'll probably have to pull them apart. That's what'll happen at the end.
Exactly. Yeah. Joanna has been nothing but short of amazing. She's been like her technique, everything has been amazing.
Well, she's my favorite fighter. I like her. I like her style. I like the way she carries herself, the way she thinks, how patient she is, and how she has a strategy and she sticks to it. And then she sticks to it to the point, if it doesn't work, then she'll change it, and she'll change it intelligently. You can just watch this girl change her attack. She's so smart. I really admire how she thinks, and her tenacity. How she just keeps she gets an idea in her head, and she keeps plugging away at it until it works. I really like that. I like that a lot about her.
No, that's an awesome quality to have. Just the stick-to-itiveness, and just it's wise to be simple.
It's easy to watch. It's easy to watch her fight. She's not a complicated fighter at all, in my estimation.
It's absolutely beautiful, because the technique
and
is
she's
there. You're right. She keeps it simple.
She's so long, and she uses that to her ultimate advantage. She uses all her tools, and she uses them well.
Her timing is just beautiful. Her technique, her striking is just, I mean, when you look at who taught her, like that makes sense, you know? Like she was taught by the best. So okay, I thought we could just run down the entire card really quick and the results, and then we can get into the other title fights. So the opening fight of the evening was Ricardo Ramos versus Ayman Zahabi, Zahabi's younger brother. Ricardo Ramos defeated Zahabi by KO, spinning back elbow. That was stunning in the third round, 158 in the third round. Then there was a heavyweight fight featuring Curtis Blades defeating Alexei Olenek via TKO. Well, it was a doctor stoppage in the second round. The welterweight featuring a welterweight bout featuring Randy Brown versus Mickey Gall, aka the guy who beat the crap out of Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk. Was previously beaten, but he was defeated by unanimous decision. That was probably Randy Brown's, like, he's a prospect, and it was probably his best performance in the octagon since he signed. They're both really young and both really talented, so they'll both do great. They still got a long way to go. Next was a light heavyweight fight. Prue taking on Corey Anderson. And Owen St. Preux, that was an amazing fight. He ended the fight in the third round via KO, head kick. I mean, he knocked him out cold. Third round, 125 left. Next, you had another heavyweight bout. Mark Godbeer defeating Walt Harris by DQ. Disqualification, illegal head kick. But that was ridiculous because Walt Harris barely touched him. And, it was basically Mark Godbeer saw he was taking a beating, saw that, like the guy threw a kick he shouldn't have, so he took the easy way out and said, I can't keep fighting, so automatically disqualified. The main event, the preliminary card main event was a lightweight bout featuring James Vick versus Joseph Duffy. And that was ended with James Vick knocking out Joseph Duffy, like TKO. He caught him with a beautiful uppercut. And that was a fight I was really looking forward to as well, because there's two of my favorite lightweights around. They're very tall, very long, extremely good technique. Basically, James Vick figured out a way to win, but it was high-level stuff. Okay, then came the pay-per-view card, the main card. It was opened up with middleweight bout between Paulo Costa, or Borrachinha, as they call him, or now as he calls himself, the Eraser, defeating Johnny Hendricks via TKO. I mean, it was a mauling. He just mauled the former one-time UFC welterweight champion. Then came a welterweight bout between Stephen Thompson, Wonderboy Thompson, and Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Stephen Thompson ended up winning that one via decision, unanimous decision, after 3 rounds. Then came the title fights, 3 of them. We just discussed the women's bantamweight, women's strawweight, pardon me, title fight. Rose Namajunas defeated Joanna Jędrzejczyk via TKO at basically there were 3 minutes and 3 seconds in the first round, which is just stunning. Then came the bantamweight title fight. TJ Dillashaw taking on Cody Garbrandt, and he ended up knocking him out cold in the second round with 2:41 left. That was another stunning result. And then came the middleweight title bout. Michael the Cunt Bisping versus Michael the Cunt Bisping versus George St. Pierre. That fight ended via technical submission, rear naked choke in the third round with 4:23 left. So there, you have the whole card, every result. So, shall we start with? Where should we start? Should we start with the title fights or with the beginning of the pay-per-view card? Jim, where would you like to start?
Well, of course, I want to talk about the Bisping fight.
How about we get DJ Dillashaw, Cody Garbrandt out of the way first, and then we can
okay,
go deep on GSP Bisping.
Garbrandt, I'm not a Garbrandt fan, and I'm really not a Dillashaw fan, but I was pleased that Dillashaw won. In fact, I was surprised. I thought Cody had beat him. But it's MMA, and anything can happen in MMA, and I think that's pretty much what happened. I think Cody just got caught and stunned, and that was the end of it.
It was a stunning, like, especially when you consider Cody dropped TJ at the end of the first round. TJ was on wobbly legs. But I don't know. I picked TJ to win, and I'm a big fan of both guys. Like the way they fight, their fighting styles. I just believe that TJ would do it because TJ has is just like a boxer. He's not just a puncher. He doesn't just box. He just strikes, and it comes from everywhere. It comes from every angle. And ever since he started working with Dwayne Bang Ludwig, he's become like, he was always a good fighter. He's always a good wrestler, but he's become like one of the most complete fighters we've ever seen. And that's why I can't wait for him to take on Mighty Mouse Johnson, because I think he'll give Mighty Mouse his best fight in a long, long time. Because it's a pleasure watching TJ Dillashaw fight, just like it's a pleasure watching Cody Garbrandt. But TJ is just on a whole other level. Like a lot of people pick Cody because Cody was bigger, hits harder, and has, like, he's a monster. He's a big guy. But TJ, he is just like that whole move like water thing. Like he's got that, and I'm not into all that movement nonsense, but he moves. He doesn't move like a human being, and he's just so relaxed and so fluid. A huge advantage, and it was an amazing performance. Happy for TJ Dillashaw because they had. Is that on your side, man?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Just wondering. Like so many others, the UFC kind of screwed him over when he lost his title. Instead of giving him the immediate rematch, they gave him the runaround. Made him face some really dangerous opponents, and when he finally got his title shot back, he made the most of it. And congratulations to the new champ. And just like he said, Cody ain't going anywhere. Like, Cody will be back. Like, I'm sure he has to get back into title contention, whatever it is. Like, I have this strong feeling like the next for TJ will be versus Mighty Mouse to unify the belts, and that's going to be a battle for the ages. I am not picking that fight because I have no idea who'd win it, but I think both men have a good chance. Of course,
you're talking about a flyweight match?
Yeah, or a catchweight. I don't know exactly how that would work. Like TJ said, he can make the flyweight limit, and if he says that, I believe him. He
says that, but Mighty Mouse doesn't seem to think that it's a sure thing he can make flyweight.
Well, yeah, I think it wasn't so much that he didn't believe he could make flyweight. He was saying, "I'm not taking that risk." And the whole thing, like you remember the whole controversy. It was a big deal. It made headlines. It wasn't so much that he said, like, I don't believe he can make it. It wasn't so much he didn't want to fight him. He was saying, I don't want to fight TJ with nothing.
I understand that, Cyrus, but that was one of Johnson's concerns, is that he'd be ready to fight, and Dillashaw wouldn't make weight. He didn't want that.
Yeah.
He didn't mark. He threw it out there. Yeah. So I kind of think that he had it was a valid concern. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah, I'm sure it is. But I mean, like, what the real problem was that, like, the way it came about was TJ and Cody were supposed to fight at UFC 213 this summer, right, for the bantamweight title. Cody pulled out because he got injured with like a couple weeks to go. TJ wanted to stay on the card and said, I want a title fight. So he called out. He said, like, how about I cut weight down to 125 and I fight Mighty Mouse for his title. And that's why Mighty Mouse said, first of all, like, this is, that's not how you treat a champion. I'm not going to just, be a last minute replacement. I'm the champion. You come to me. Like, I don't even have and yeah, that was one of the things he pulled out. He said, and besides, like, I don't even know, I'm not going to risk my title for a guy. I don't know if he can make the weight. I don't, like, and the guy doesn't even have a title. Like, TJ's a bantamweight. Why should I fight him? A bigger guy for the same money. Like, at least let him get a title. Let him, like, fight for the bantamweight title, and then he's interesting. Which he was absolutely right. Like, the way they've been treating Mighty Mouse is disgraceful. Just like they treated TJ really bad. But now, I mean, like, that's going to be a great fight. Like, if they can make it, whether it's a catch weight, whether it's a bantamweight, whether it's a flyweight, like, basically, they could fight at welterweight for all I care. That's an amazing fight to watch. So yeah, like, it was a great performance by TJ. Like, he got hurt in the first round, looked like like he was in trouble under him.
Yep, he came back
and caught him, and Cody got a bit reckless too. I think he got a bit too cocky.
Yeah,
and it's funny, like, as much as he was really calm and cool when he fought. He was I think he got his hubris kind of got to him, especially when he hurt TJ. He dropped TJ in the first round. I think he thought it was going to be easy, and sure enough, it didn't work out. It didn't work out for him at all. He got knocked out cold, and but like, just like TJ said, Cody ain't going nowhere. Like, we could have a trilogy on our hands right there. It could be like a classic bantamweight. Uriah Faber and Dominic Cruz had back in the day. Okay, and then, of course, just a quick word. Stephen Thompson versus Jorge Masvidal was a great fight. It was a beautiful fight with two very different fighters, contrasting styles. And Stephen Thompson came. I mean, both guys put on a great performance, but Stephen Thompson's back. Like, if there was any doubt of him as a top contender, like, he's right back in the title mix, and I can't wait to see him fight for a title. And well, Jorge Masvidal isn't far either. He had a setback, but he'll get back there. He's a bad, and they both put on a great fight. Okay, Paulo Costa just blasted Johnny Hendricks out of the water in the second round. It's looking like the end for Johnny Hendricks, to be honest. Like, 2014 welterweight champion, UFC welterweight champion, to now it's like he's got like he's lost, like, out of his last 10, I think he's lost 8 in 1-2. That's a really bad run for a guy who liked to complain and say he's still trying to tell. He's still trying to tell everyone that he beat GSP, which is absolute nonsense. So, anyways, shall we talk about, like, what we're all here to talk about? The main event, the return of the great Canadian, GSP, George St. Pierre versus Michael Bisping. It's quite a performance, wasn't it?
So is Bisping going to retire now? He's been threatening to do it for I don't know how long.
Yeah, he's been saying it now. Apparently, like right after the fight, he said he wasn't going anywhere and he'd be back. So I don't know. And to be honest, I don't care. Like, you know what? Honestly, if he doesn't want to retire fighting, they should match him up with Luke Rockhold, because he took the he's been disgracing the belt, talking all kinds of crap about other fighters, and he goes on and on about how he's not scared of anybody, yet he's been running. So, like, how about you give him a chance to prove he's not scared? Like, match him up with Luke Rockhold. How about you match him up with every fighter he was supposed to fight? Like, match him up with Luke Rockhold, or match him up with Yoel Romero. How about you match him up with Jacare Sousa, Sosa, all faced. I mean, you can't match him up with Gegard Mousasi because he left. But, there's plenty of good matchups for, and plenty of matchups where, he's not going to enjoy them because, he should have never been champion in the first place. He should have never fought for the belt. Luke Rockhold made a big mistake that night. He went in angry and he left his chin open and he got caught. But ever since then, it's been like one of possibly the most talent-rich division in the UFC today is probably middleweight. There's just like so much talent. Like, you look at that top 10, it's just nothing but really talented fighters. And now you got a new one. You've got Paulo Costa, got Borrachinha, who looks like a future superstar. He looks like the new Vitor. He really does. Remember when Vitor first came on the scene? He looked like a movie star. Yeah. You got any comments, Jim?
No, I still don't know why the UFC allowed Bisping to hold that belt on ice and hold it hostage for a year. I still don't understand that. Hello?
No, I'm here. I'm listening to you.
Oh. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that. I just don't know how. Like you say, the weight classification is full of talented people, and and they all they were all on ice. They could do nothing.
Yeah, all twiddling their thumbs,
doing nothing.
They screwed over a lot of great fighters. A lot of great fighters were made to wait or screwed over. Like they got rid of Jacare Sosa. They had a ridiculous. I mean, it was a great fight, but it was disgraceful the way, like the fact that they had to have a fight UFC 213 just to get rid of a contender. Like that fight between Yoel Romero and what's his name and Robert Whittaker, who is now the interim title holder, should have been for the actual belt. It was a great fight. It was a fight for the ages, but they fought for goals. And they kept on matching Jacare Sosa with people until he got knocked out by Robert Whittaker as well. So a year and a half just wasted with an absolute fool, a tool, a guy who should, who never even made it to a title shot. He never earned the title shot in his entire career. And like, it was a disgrace that he wore it, and then he did nothing but disgrace it. It was a joke. It was an absolute joke.
We have to have an episode on Holly Holm just as she's out of negotiations to fight Justino, and because they can't agree on money. We need to have an episode about who's going to fight Justino next.
Still say it's going to be Holly. I still think Holly will fight her, but it's just good for her. She's just not going to take bullshit money. She's not going to take peanuts to fight Justino.
Yeah.
And rightly so. Like, you shouldn't. Like the UFC needs to start paying its fighters properly, right? Like
yeah,
like they can't expect this is a title fight. And Justino herself, it's not just Holly. Justino's complaining because she's saying they're trying to cut her salary. It's like you're the champion now that she's the champion. Her salary, like what the hell? It's like so disrespectful, and it's really weaselly. And apparently, they're trying to cut Holly's offer as well. So it's like, yeah, don't fight. She's absolutely right. And of course, they're trying to put pressure on her by making it public. But she just came out and said, yeah, they didn't offer me my normal salary. And I mean, everybody knows when you fight for a title, you're supposed to get paid more. So God knows what's going on.
but anyway, sometime we have to talk about that and get that out in the open a little bit.
Yeah, well, we'll get more details and we'll discuss it more. But let's get back to George St. Pierre versus Bisping.
Sure.
That fight was just beautiful. It was like, okay, there was a lot said. Lots of bad things. People said it should have never happened. I got it where people were upset because, yeah, that whole division was made to wait. But it's not George's fault. It was Michael Bisping's and ultimately the UFC's because they allowed him to do that. Hand, like I picked GSP to win immediately. A big part of it is I'm a huge fan of his, but huge respect for his skill. And his skill set was that even if all he did was wrestle, I knew Michael Bisping couldn't stop his takedowns. Didn't even come to wrestle. Like he grappled him. He took him down in every single round. In all 3 rounds, but he outstruck him. He completely outstruck him on the feet. And it's funny. It's Michael Bisping.
Well, how long has it been since Bisping's been in a competitive situation?
Well, pretty much every fight is competitive because he's not that great a fighter.
No, but when was the last time the guy was in an octagon risking his health? I mean,
basically, last time he fought, Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson almost had him out. Like, to me, Dan Henderson beat him. He just managed to, and, they were in England. Let's be honest. They were in London. No, they were in Manchester. And whenever Michael Bisping fights in England or near the UK, he always wins decisions because the judges will always score no matter what happens. As long as he gets to a decision, it doesn't get finished, he'll always win because 2 of the judges are either English or Bisping fans. It's like it's very famous. He's never lost a decision in the UK, and he's lost plenty. He should have lost. I mean, the Matt Hamill fight was an absolute robbery. The Anderson, I still believe, like Anderson really fucked up in that fight, Anderson Silva, but he still should have lost that fight. Okay, that's one thing. And then he fought Thales. He should have lost that fight. Bisping lost that fight, but they gave it to him. And there's been like quite a few fights because he's fought in the UK quite a few times, and a lot of them, they were very questionable results. I mean, the last 3 I told you were just outright robberies, especially Thales and Matt Hamill. But there's been quite a few really dodgy. Like I remember him fighting. What was his name? Akiyama. I thought Akiyama won after 5 rounds, and he got the nod. And Akiyama is a much better fighter than Bisping, too. And to me, he beat Michael Bisping. Bisping still won the decision. They weren't in the UK at the time, but he's won a lot of, and he's also a very dirty fighter. He cheats a lot. So he's a slippery fighter. He's been around for like 15, 20 years, so he's got plenty of experience. He's got plenty of savvy. So yeah, he's a dangerous fighter in the sense that there's nothing he won't do to win. I think people picked against GSP for the main reason that he hadn't been active in nearly 3 years and a half. So people were thinking, oh, he's going to be rusty. And also the second reason was that they thought that Michael Bisping was so much bigger. I mean, Michael Bisping started his career as a light heavyweight. Started his career as a light heavyweight, and then moved down to middleweight when he couldn't, keep up with the elite light heavyweights like Rashad Evans or Rampage. Like there were some big scary guys. So he moved down to middleweight, and he had more success there. Although he ran into the buzzsaw that was Dan Henderson at UFC 100. But otherwise, he's won like way more than he lost, and all that. But one thing that happened, first of all, size doesn't matter at this level. Like size helps, but when you're fighting someone like GSP, your size can actually work against you. Because if you're taller than him, he can get to your legs easier, and once he gets to your legs, he'll take you down. And he's unbelievably strong, George St. Pierre is. But one thing that really shocked me, like I expected George to win. What shocked me is that George was taller, it was bigger. He looked bigger. He was more in shape, but he actually looked bigger, larger than Michael Bisping. It was quite stunning. Like when they first started fighting, I was like, my God, George is bigger than him. It was really interesting. Now, I wasn't surprised that he outstruck him. That's what he was going to do. Like he's been telling everybody that, like his career as a welterweight, he was getting a bit bored because, he wasn't finishing, and he said like he needed some time to rest and recuperate. And he said like I'm getting back to the old me, the finishing, the high level striker. People forgot that, but greatest strikers in MMA history. His jab is probably the best jab in MMA history. He's an amazing striker. He comes from Koshin Karate, and that's like one of the best striking schools you'll ever go to. Like the best striking techniques. I mean, like, you look at the other ones who use who studied that art, and they're all amazing strikers. I mean, Lyoto Machida, he's another one. Just like Rory McDonald's. It's just it made me really happy because George kind of reminded everybody like just how good he was. People kind of took George for granted before he left. So now that he's back, people can remember that this is one of the greatest to ever do it. Just because he's a nice guy, just because he's, speaks with a goofy accent doesn't mean, like every bit as good as, anybody else. Like John Jones, Anderson Silva, or Mighty Mouse. What do you think, Jim?
Well, I'm not really familiar with GSP because, like I said, I've only been involved with MMA only recently, like the last couple of years. But and so I've heard lots about GSP. In fact, I'm surprised the guy came back. I thought he was gone forever. But what people say about him is certainly true. The guy is a complete package. He's probably the best. He's next to Mighty Mouse. I'd say he's probably the best talent in MMA. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, him. No, I've always. To me, he was the greatest ever. Like I always thought he was the best. Like there's him, there's John Jones, and there's Mighty Mouse now. And like you can pick whoever you want, but yeah, to me, he is the best. Like he has staying power. He's never gotten himself into trouble. He's never dodged anybody. He's never ducked anybody. And he went through three generations of welterweight. So what else can you ask?
Yeah. The only difference I see between Johnson and GSP is size. It's just two different size guys. Uh, I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody that can readily walk into an octagon and take these guys out. And for that reason alone, I enjoy watching them work. I really like talent. I don't care what the guy is, if he's a trash talker or whatever the hell he is. If the guy's got talent, I can appreciate his work. And I appreciate GSP. In fact,
between those three, like GSP, John Jones, and Mighty Mouse, and like someone like Conor McGregor, if you see what I mean.
Like, well, McGregor, I can appreciate what he does in the ring, but as far as wanting to watch him fight, I really don't care to watch Conor McGregor fight because he's not a complete fighter. He's just a guy with a big left. That's all he is.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like I guess those three guys, those three champions, you can put them through adversity. You can put them through trouble. You can hurt them, but they'll come back, and you can put them on their backs. You can, they're good everywhere, but you can put them into trouble, whether it's, like Conor McGregor, you put him into trouble. You take him out of the second round or the third round, he's in trouble usually, and he doesn't enjoy it, and he slows down, and you can see it. Like whether, even though, okay, his last fight was nonsense. It was a bullshit. It was an exhibition, but even there, you saw him. Like when you put him through his paces, you start putting pressure on him, he starts fading. He starts looking for a way out.
Yeah.
There's those three. They enjoy it even more, and they become even more dangerous, and they fight harder. I don't know. There's a big difference between those three great champions we're discussing and McLeprechaun.
Yeah.
For instance, those three have earned everything they've had. They weren't handed anything. They weren't overhyped.
Yeah.
So whether you like
McGregor,
him or not,
McGregor just has that big left and a big mouth, and that's all he really has. And Dana has been really careful about who he's put him in with. I don't want to say the fights are fixed, but I will say that the styles of the fighters he's fought those styles have been to McGregor's advantage.
No, there's been a lot of that. Okay, there's been a couple of times when he fought legit, like when he fought Aldo. But Aldo was the champion. When he fought Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez was the champion. Like to me, that was like Eddie's worst performance ever. Like I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he let the occasion get to him. A little bit like Joanna. Overexcited or whatever reason, but that, I had no argument. My only thing was he shouldn't have fought. He been in that position to fight for the lightweight title in the first place. It's just a big star to headline their first event in New York. Oh, that's what they went for. But like really, he hadn't earned his right to fight Eddie. Like he was only one fight removed from being in the first round by Nate Diaz, and he'd won a very, very. I thought he lost that second fight. It was a draw.
Yeah, the second fight, that was bullshit. Nate was kicking his ass. Again, in fact, McGregor was running away from him in that fight.
I'll never forget that. That was
bullshit.
That was quite the sight.
That's bullshit. And
Nate
Nate gave it away too, because Nate could have had him down a lot quicker. Nate wanted to stand there. Nate wanted to go toe to toe with his ass, and that was stupid on Nate's part. Nate should have just taken him down and wasted him, but he didn't do it.
Absolutely right.
because that's how you beat.
Absolutely right.
It's no secret how to beat McGregor. You get him on the ground, and he's done.
Nate ain't much of a wrestler though. He's more of a, he's an absolute, just like his older brother Nick. They're two, they're high level grapplers and Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
In the first fight, Nate choked him out. There's no reason he couldn't have done that in the second fight.
Yeah, he just had a problem getting him down. Shooting for a double leg when he should just, like judo tripped him, or like grapple him from the top. He kept on going for his legs, and that's not Nate's game. Time trying to wrestle him down to the ground. Then he threw him around, but by then it was too late, and he was on top. He could have choked him out, but it was the end of the fight. But yeah, interesting fight. But yeah, like, deep, man, what a performance. And like, it's just, I love watching guys like him, like John Jones, like Demetrius Johnson, or for that case, for that matter, Dillashaw, because they're good everywhere. Ground, grappling, striking, kicking, like they're complete mixed martial artists, and they're a privilege to watch.
Yeah, I like to watch talent. I really like to watch talent.
Yeah, it's just like in any sport, like I always respect like whoever's the best, whoever's at the top, especially when they've been on top for so many years. Like he was welterweight champion for most of his career, who will spend their whole career and never get a title shot, but he held that welterweight belt like almost like 90% of his career. So that tells you that's like respected. Like, he's got staying power, he's got that focus and that desire, like what we were talking about last night, Jim. Like the
man is an artist. Wouldn't you say that? Hello?
He's an artist.
Yeah. I like artists. I like people that display the full boat of talent. That's what I like to see. And even Conor, you take away Conor's, take away his game. In other words, take away his entrance and his exit, and just watch him fight. You're not watching anything special at all. You're watching nothing special. The guy's got a big left hand. That's it. And he can kick. That's it.
Yep. And even his kicks don't really get him, like his kicks.
I've met lots of guys in bars that have got big left hands and can kick. In fact, we've all probably met people like that.
In bar fights, that's what you get. Like, guys. But I mean, he's got skills, and he can throw punches. And,
there's no doubt he's got enough skill to be in an octagon, but he's not a complete fighter. And I don't care to spectate anybody that's not a complete fighter. I really don't.
No, is like, it's one thing not to be a complete fighter. Like I've actually guys who weren't complete fighters, who weren't like very good on the ground, or who are very good on the ground but couldn't stand very long with people because they get knocked out. But one thing I like is to watch them get better, and the way they get better is guys who gave them problems, and then they'd overcome those problems and get better, and like work on the parts of their game, or their art, whatever you want to call it. They got better and then overcame those problems. So it was very interesting because Gregor, or Nick Leprechaun as I like to call him, he ain't gonna get any better because he's never had to, because they keep on from guys who are going to give him problems as much as they can. Like, they've kept him away from Frankie Edgar for years now. They've kept him away from a lot of very dangerous fighters.
McGregor is a promotion. That's all he is. He's a promotion.
He's a promotional tool.
Yeah.
And I mean that in both ways. You're right, but the thing is, he's so full of himself. Like, he fought the greatest boxer ever. In my opinion, Floyd Mayweather is the greatest in boxing. He's the greatest ever. And whether you agree with me or not, he's definitely amazing, right? And he never even got people. They, what's his name? One of the greatest. Some people think he's a bit ridiculous now, but Roach, he's lost a lot of credibility, but he still knows more about boxing than like most people. I mean, he's forgotten more about boxing than 90% of people out there, and offered his help. He offered to train him, and he turned him down. He wanted to train with his own people who know nothing about boxing, who were like, the night of the fight, they didn't give him any kind of help. They made it worse because they kept on telling him, "Oh, you're doing great." And when he obviously wasn't. It was embarrassing. But like with people like that, he's obviously just got yes men. He's never going to get any better.
Nope.
He's never going to get any better because
he doesn't want to get better. He doesn't need to get better.
Exactly. That's the point. He doesn't need to get better because everybody around him keeps telling him he's the best. Like, oh, It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you face.
Well,
it's like
let's face it. He just made three figures of $1 million. I mean, shit, or over $100 million probably. So why should he get any better? There's no reason to get any better.
That's why I've said it from the beginning. He's not a true martial artist because, like, the way he sees it is he makes more money than anybody else. Hence, he's the best.
He's a can of energy drink. That's what he is.
That's what he is because basically, like, money has nothing to do with it. I mean, money's great, and like as a superstar, good for him. He's getting paid.
Yep.
This guy is a fool because he is still being taken advantage of because he should be making a lot more. If he's as big a star as he thinks he is, like, he made a ton of money for the Mayweather fight, but he disgraced himself in that fight. And now, like, he's going to be in trouble because he's got Tony Ferguson waiting for him. Yet, like, what he wants is to avoid him. That could actually end his career. Like, if he's not very careful, if he goes in there, like, thinking, oh, I'm just, Tony is the kind of guy that will. So, man, like, he's another complete mixed martial artist. And okay, like we're straying from the subject here, but like we were talking about GSP versus Michael Bisping, and
well, we're looking at 9 o'clock here too, Cyrus.
Hello,
can you hear me? Hello. Hello, Cyrus. Can you hear me? What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I was just saying it's 9 o'clock.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I think it's about time to wrap this thing up, anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways, any last pointers or comments you want to make, Jim?
Well, I want to say that it kind of goes without saying, but as a student of MMA, this is the best event. 217 was the best event I've ever seen, and I've seen some good ones, but I think this one, even though McGregor wasn't in it, it had some star power, and it had some damn good MMA matches in it. So I guess what I want to say is we don't need McGregor to make MMA great, and 217 proves that.
I couldn't agree more. I think actually MMA is actually greater without him these days, because it's just, whenever he's part of any kind of fight card, it's all about him. You don't really get to see the other fighters.
And then how many times have you seen 3 championship belts change hands in one event? Good Lord.
First time I've ever seen that. First time in any event.
Well, it's terrific.
I don't know if that's ever, no, I don't think it's ever happened before. Maybe, in Pride, but I don't even think so. I used to watch every one of them. I've never seen that happen. No, it was a wonderful card. Like, like everybody brought their A game. There was some stunning results, stunning upsets. And, it was very hard to predict that would have happened that way. I thought, it's funny. I thought George would either submit or knock out Michael Bisping. So that was interesting. But every single title fight changed hands. Every single title changed hands, and every single title fight ended via stoppage. That's what more can anyone ask? People like stoppages. So,
well, for me, in the 3 title fights, I got 2 of them wrong, and I haven't ever done that. I haven't ever been wrong about that many title fights since I've been associated with MMA.
I actually got.
I mean,
out of the
they were
3.
They were good surprises. It was good quality. It was good quality action. Good quality action.
Who'd you pick in the GS? Actually, you got that one right. If I remember, you were on the podcast when we did the picks. You picked GSP, right?
Yeah, and I picked Garbrandt, and I picked Joanna.
Oh, okay. I out of the 3 title fights, I only picked 2. Because I said Joanna Rose, I will not pick. I was just saying, like, basically my point was it's just too close. People thought it was crazy that I thought it was close, but I said it's going to be very close. And in the end, I was wrong because it wasn't that close. Like, Joanna never got to get started. But I picked TJ Dillashaw, and I picked GSP. So, like, whatever. It was one of the greatest nights in the UFC ever, and it's just such a breath of fresh air after all the nonsense and the whole Mayweather McGregor thing. And Dana's nonsense.
I'm glad that crap's over with. Oh, jeez.
I was so happy to see Dana wrap that middleweight belt around George's waist after all the horrible and disgusting and slanderous things he said about the dude. Like, he must have not enjoyed that. Like, and what's more is, like, we're back. We're back. Like, if GSP's back, no matter how long he's back, if it's only for a couple fights, I'll enjoy him. But that's a true champion and a true mixed martial artist, respectful, dignified. It's nice to have him back. It's a breath of fresh air after all the McLeprechaun antics and stuff. So.
Well, anyways, we have to wrap this up, Cyrus. I got to go.
We do. All right, man. Well, how about you say goodnight, True Temper, if you got any last comments or?
Well, no, nothing other than what I've said already, except that to say again that 217 was a really good event. I'm glad to see the UFC finally put on something of that kind of quality, because they can do that more. They can do that more often than not. They've got a lot of people that sit on their dead asses doing nothing that could be in the octagon entertaining people. I wish they'd do it.
Me too. You and me both, my friend. You and me both, instead of the fucking soap opera. Anyways.
Yeah.
But,
well, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Cyrus.
All right, man. Anytime. We'll be back soon. This is Soul of a Fighter, episode 11, from True Temper Rocket and Cyrus Stark. We're out.